What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Loot Bros Podcast. I'm your host, Residentdarrell, and this week it's just me and the bearded nerd. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man?
Man, a lot is going on, actually.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff going on. Been a busy week, and not busy because I've been gaming, which is very sad. But before we get into all of the rigmarole and the business, I have an ice cold drink here that really, really needs to be cracked open. So I was trying to hold out and cut back on some of the caffeines. Instead of a 12 caffeinated drinks, I only had 11. So
all right,
we're gonna start this one off early into the show for all the BS. This week's toast is going to go out to our Patreon producers. Our current Patreon producers are the T-Bird. For whatever reason, I couldn't, it was on the tip of my tongue, El Presidente, and it just wouldn't come out. So I just had like a buffering for just a second there. So we have the T-Bird. We got Redbeard Rick. We got My Name is Effing Mayo. Those are our Patreon producers. Thank you guys so much for all that you do. I took my kids to their first concert ever last night, Zach. It was
fun.
Blast. It was so much fun, like so incredibly fun. It was awesome. So that is like a big thing I want to toast to, because I'm riding a high. I hadn't been to a concert in a couple of years, and it was so much fun. It was such a good time. So this week, we also got crazy amount of games. We got Horizon Forbidden West is out. We got Elden Ring coming out with perfect scores. I mean, just crazy high Metacritic score. There's just so much going on, dude. So much good stuff. So,
and then I would like to toast to slightly achieving one of my gaming goals for the year. I finally made it to Platinum last night on Apex, which is my first time I've done that in 12 seasons. So
there you go. That's what's up. Didn't choke on it, so that's pretty good. All right, so Zach, I told you before, it's been very busy. Ton of stuff going on. I've been finishing up my studies. I'm actually joining a supplemental class, like a study group, essentially, kind of thing. So I've got a study sesh tomorrow as the time of recording. We've got, like I said, I took my kids to a concert. So it just so happened to fall right before my birthday. So it was kind of like a really good time to break away and, from studying or whatever. It was like, we're going to go out as a family. And I was going to take the kids, regardless. And it just was kind of like, oh, we'll tie this into like birthday festivities to kind of give me a almost like an excuse to get out of other things. So not that I wanted to be antisocial, you know what I'm saying, for my birthday, but it's like, I am really, really, really want to pass this test and pass it well. So I'm trying to do as little as possible when it comes to actually, being out of the house. So I've got things I've committed to, got things I have to do, and work has been an absolute cluster the past couple of weeks. So been trying to, make time for everybody. So took the kids to their first ever concert. Zach, did you ever get to go to Winter Jam when you were here, or actually where you're at?
No, I haven't. But ironically enough, Skillet was my first ever concert.
That's awesome.
It was Creed, Skillet, and Theft right after they got back together.
Oh wow, dude! Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've seen Creed as well, and they were really freaking good live.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, like a lot of people like to hammer on Creed and talk junk, but like, man, I'm telling you, Mark Tremonti is a freaking beast on the guitar, and they were good live. They were really good live. But I think I was doing the math. This is my third or fourth time seeing Skillet. I couldn't 100% remember, but Skillet is always so freaking good live. Like
they are.
Their energy is great. Their stage performance is great. I mean, just like what they bring to the table, like they had a drum riser. So like Jen's drums spun around, and like they had these platforms that would go up and down. They had fireworks. They had pyro. They had explosions. Like it was just cool. You know what I'm saying? It was like cool freaking show. And they're obviously they sound amazing, but dude, they were so heavy last night. Like I listen to Skillet on a regular basis. My kids like Spotify playlists have Skillet like every single night. I kid you not, dude. You're gonna hear a Skillet song in our house, and that's what my kids listen to before they go to bed and have for years. Now, granted, there's other stuff on there, but it's like the song Resistance seems an Invincible that's to play like every night in some capacity while we're doing bedtime routine. And so like, I've been on this like anti going to shows kick for several years because it really gets me like crazy amped up. And like I want to play, I want to go and be in a band and play shows. And I don't like feeling that way because it's not just up to me, and it's kind of frustrating. So like I find myself going to concerts and coming back from them almost a little depressed because it's like I want to do that. I don't want to just watch it, like going to shows isn't as fun as playing shows. So for years now, several years, I haven't actually been going to any of the shows. My wife keeps asking, she's like, babe, when are you going to take me to another show? When are you going to take me to a show? And I've just been like, yeah, we'll go, when something comes around. And then, of course, COVID has kind of shut down a ton of the touring. We're getting a lot of stuff now. But for a little while there, things were shut down. And I haven't been a part of like a youth ministry in several years either. So I haven't had like a youth group to take to Winter Jam every year. So this year I saw the advertisement that Skillet was headlining Winter Jam again. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to go to that. Sure enough, I told the kids we were going. I didn't tell them until recently. And dude, they were so hyped. So we got there and I expected some of the performances to be good. And Winter Jam, if you guys are listening and you're in the States, Winter Jam is like a 40 city tour that a lot of the bigger Christian, music and artists will do. They partner with like, I think this year was Compromise. I think it was Compromise, child adoption. You kind of sponsor kids overseas and provide meals and things like that. They have various little groups and stuff they partner with, and it's always kind of like the same setup. It's like you have some of your lesser known poppy artists in the beginning. You'll have like a rap, like a rapper or a rap group. You'll have like New Song is one of the big tour sponsors, so they tend to cover your more like alternative rock with a little bit of country, a little bit of jazz influence. Like every year they kind of change up their performance, and then you'll have some sort of like pop and alternative artists, and then you might have one rock band. Sometimes a big band like Skillet will headline, but for the most part, the rock is a little you might have one of those. You don't usually have two. And there's usually not a ton of it. The type of crowds that this event attracts isn't exactly like your straight up metalheads and things like what we're used to. So I've always gone, but I've never I say always gone. For years I went for years and years and years, but I didn't really look forward to it like I did this year. This year I haven't been in several years. I haven't been to Winter Jam specifically in several years. And this is my kid's first concert. So we were amped, dude. We were jacked. I was at work yesterday was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. Friday is the time of recording. And I was like, man, I cannot wait to get out of here and just get the family. Let's go. Work has sucked major butthole for the past couple of weeks. It's been real bad. My turnover rate's been really high. My production's been really low. And I'm the production manager of the facility. And I'm, doing a lot of your basic entry level position work because that's where the need is. So I've just been stretched and frustrated. And on top of, I'm getting closer and closer to my exam. And it's been, the normal frustrations for people who are doing, normal things, I guess, working and any other, whatever. Also, soccer started back up. So it's been we've had soccer practice and I'm coaching 2 teams and, I don't know. There's a lot. There's a lot going on. So I was like, man, I just need this. I need to get to this show and go. And dude, Zach, I'm telling you, man, it was not a disappointment at all. Have you ever heard of the rap artist KB?
No, I did see you post something about it yesterday, though. I
posted a video. If you go to my Facebook and watch it, it's not indicative of the entire set that he played. And he is associated with like guys like Lecrae, Trip Lee, Tadashi, some of these like rap and hip hop artists that I'm like really, really, or at least at certain times in their careers, I was a big fan of. And like KB was kind of like loosely associated with them. He would do a couple songs with them here and there, but he was like a lesser known of those artists when I was really heavy into them.
Right.
And so like going into the show, I'm like, here's the lineup. Like a couple pop artists I've never heard of, a couple contemporary artists I've never really heard of, new song that I've seen seriously like 7 times and I don't get too excited for. Skillet, which is a known quantity, but like that's the reason why we're going this year. Super stoked. And then KB, which I was like, you know what? That'll be good. He won't be bad. You know, Zach. Oh my gosh, dude. It was so freaking good. This dude came out on stage and he had 2 platforms, right? He had 2 like not crazy huge platforms, but he had a drummer and he had a guy playing guitar. And the light show was real dark and those things going on. He came out and that dude started shredding and ripping on that guitar and the bass was hitting. It was like making your chest shake. I'm like, whoa, what is this? His opening track was a just hardcore, heavy riff, just driving rap rock song. I was like, what? Like, what? It was so freaking good, dude. And like, you guys know me. I'm like, if you've listened to the show for any amount of time, I am a huge rap rock collaboration fan. I love when the two come together. The opening song for the Loot Bros podcast is a rap rock song that I, wrote and got one of my rap artist friends to come on and rap with, dude, because it is just, I love it. I love that style of music. I love when you have a ripping guitar and somebody flowing and just spitting like savagely fast. Like the faster, the better. So KB comes out, dude, and he basically just freaking knocked the walls down in that place. It was so freaking good, dude. It was so good. Like it blew my mind. You know what I'm saying? And like this is somebody who played 300 plus shows. I've shared the stage with hundreds of artists. We would do our own rap rock collaboration shows. We would have a rap artist rock band. I've collaborated with multiple rap artists on stage before. I'm no stranger to this stuff. And I've seen tons and tons of rap artists, seen tons of bands. Like I went and saw Limp Bizkit, Method Man and Redman tour together. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen all different versions of this. This dude came out and blew my freaking mind. Like it was so good. So like we had a blast last night, dude. Keeping it relevant to games, they were giving away PS5s and Xbox Series X. So there you go. For anyone who's listening to the show and he's like, oh, he's talking about music, not video games. They were giving away consoles. All you had to do was text game on to 303303. What? I just made that part up. But they were giving away consoles. But dude, it was good. It was so freaking good. I was so refreshed and so amped. And then Skillet came out and freaking killed it. Like, they just put on such an amazing performance. They had these platforms that would rise up and down. So like the guitar players would get on the platforms would go way up in the air. The drums would get up over there and spin. They had these 5 different or 6 different containers that would just shoot these giant flames out of them. They got on these platforms and rode around the arena. That's, you're familiar with the song Hero by Skillet?
Yes.
So when Jen Ledger, the drummer, she sings her parts and then John Cooper sings his parts.
Yep.
So one of the stagehands came on and played drums and she got down and she actually had a mic and sang with him. And then they jumped on these ends of the stage that were actually on wheels. And then they had people pushing them around the arena so they could go and shake hands around the arena with all the different, fans in attendance and stuff. It was so good. My kids were jumping up and down and they were screaming. They were yelling, dude. Like they were having the time of their life. It was such a good experience. So I say all that to say, I was getting super stressed and frustrated kind of going into this weekend. And this weekend and next weekend are my last 2 weekends before my test, So this is crunch time. This is it. I don't want to repeat that. I don't want to do this again. If I have to do it again, I will, but I don't want to. So I was sitting there going into this weekend, like I got all these podcasts I gotta do. We got Patreon stuff coming up. I was like, man, I got all this crap I gotta do for soccer. I got all this stuff for work. I'm like super behind in my office. I'm like, man, I don't know that I don't want to do any of this because on top of it all, I got to study. And I was like, I needed to kind of get out and get my mind right or whatever. And not to sound like overly dramatic, but like, how it is when you get really frustrated and you feel kind of deadlocked and stuff. It's like, I need to just get away for a minute. Oh my gosh. You went last night, man. The kids had so much fun. My wife was having a blast. She was into it. It was perfect. It was such a good family outing. And then after the show, I mean, I saw my old bandmates there. I saw freaking Trey out there with his youth group. I saw our original guitar player that me, Trey, and this guy named Justin, we started Ninja Loot together. He was there with his youth group. Really funny story real quick. In the middle of the story, I'm going to break down and tell you another story. So like when the three of us get together, me, Trey, and Justin, you just can't, there's nothing. It's so hard to be serious, like seriousness is such a small part of our interactions together. And so like he was there with so Justin was there with his daughter. I was taking Paxton to the bathroom. We crossed by each other and we were talking a little bit of junk or whatever and just being silly. And then he was getting his daughter ice cream. So then obviously we sell ice cream. Paxton needed to get ice cream. So we get ice cream. We go into the arena and that's when they have the guy come out. And they're like, hey, if you want to sponsor a child, this is how much it costs. Here's some testimony from different people who've sponsored children overseas. And they tell these really, really sad stories that really kind of make you in the moment or just want to give all your money away. Because these people really do have like very, sad lives and they're making the best out of it. And here I am, this privileged fat white boy over here complaining about how busy I am with all the money I'm making. You know what I'm saying? So like, it really does kind of put things into perspective for a minute. So Justin texted me and he was like, hey, I just sponsored one of those children, but I stole your credit card to do it. Hope you don't mind. And they're like, oh, by the way, if you sponsor a child, you get to go meet the singer of Skillet. And I was like, joke's on you. When we were in the line for ice cream, I scanned your wallet, stole your card. I just got 3 of these. Subbed to 3 children under your name. And we were just having this big, blast going back and forth. So like, I did get one of the packets, you know what I'm saying, to look at it and kind of see like what all it entails, and all this stuff. Let my kids see it and read it. Because, something like, and this because you have a kid. And even though your kid's young, you'll understand more as they get older. Like they're super privileged, you know what I'm saying? Even in our worst financial times, like what we're able to provide our children with is still like pretty hardcore, in the grand scheme of things. And our toys, I mean, here we are, we're doing a podcast, you know what I'm saying? Like we're not, we got stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like we got lots of stuff. We're trying to do stuff with our stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so like my kids, they've never experienced hardship. You know what I'm saying? Like the hardest thing for them is having to buy a game themselves with the money they earned opposed to me just buying it for them. That's a hard day at the Ellisor house. So like we didn't buy Horizon yet. I said I wasn't going to buy Horizon until after I passed my test. So my son was like, well, I guess I'll buy Horizon. Then I told him it was, $60. He's like, you know what? I'll just wait for you to pass your test. You know what I'm saying? Spoiled rotten because he knows he's going to get the game if he just waits. So,
like, well, Dad already told me we were going to get it.
Yeah.
Do I really want to wait or do I want to just buy it myself?
Yeah, exactly. Why spend my money when I can just wait for you to spend yours? So I got a little packet, and I let my kids read it. They read the little girl's story. And, they're like really sad, like, oh my gosh. We just watched this video of this dude who lives in a 48 square foot, shed in the slums and, how he's making the best out of his life. And, he sent a video into his sponsor and all this stuff, thanking him for sponsoring him. It was cool. It's one of those things where I'm like, as a family, if we come together and we look at this and we want to get involved, there you go. And we want to get involved in like a charity or something like that, then like let's look at it and see. but I kind of wanted to give them perspective, because like we did Extra Life last year,
Right.
and my kids understand kids that are sick, like being a part of Extra Life, especially in the video game industry, is like a big deal, That's what you do here. But my goddaughter, she had leukemia, Now, granted, she's, you recovered from it and all that stuff. But like, so my kids understand that like what it was like when she got diagnosed with leukemia, and then a couple of years of going through chemo and recovery, her losing all her hair, and then now, like there's always these health scares. Something could happen, they're always having her tested and stuff just to make sure everything's gone. So my kids like understand that. And when we do like March of Dimes charity, or we do Extra Life charity and things like that, like they understand that like there's people that are sick and need help, but they've never understood there's people that are underprivileged and need help. So it was like a really cool time, to get the packet and all that stuff and read it and go through it with the kids. But then I took a screenshot of it and was like, "Hey, Justin, like this is your new adopted daughter from overseas. Like, I'm going to meet John Cooper now. Thanks." Just kind of like, leaning into the humor of the fact that I stole my friend's credit card. So, and then I bought video games with it. So, now real talk, I didn't steal it, but it was funny. So, what's been going on with you, man? That was a long talk for me, but it was a really cool night, and a lot of cool experiences. Oh, one more thing, real quick before I go. My kids bought their first band merch. My son bought himself a T-shirt. My daughter bought herself a T-shirt, and my youngest bought himself a poster, and they bought it with their own money. So it was a good night.
It sounds like it was a lot of fun. I can't wait to take my daughter to her first concert.
It was really good, dude. It's really good.
What's been going on with me? Okay, so I missed last Saturday, unfortunately. My wife had just gotten out of the hospital the Friday evening before our show, and we had to take her in on Wednesday. So, she's got a really bad autoimmune disease that the doctor still haven't 100%, 10% figured out yet. So she sat in the hospital by herself because I had to take care of her daughter. So I felt kind of bad. She really wanted to spend some time with me, and I was like, "I'm sorry. I love you. Please don't hate me." And I had to bail out. But the interview sounded like it went well. Everybody enjoyed it. Cutthroat doesn't seem like my style of comic book. I did read some of them. Mm-hmm. And they're just a little too vulgar. And
I thought
they're
definitely a style.
Yeah, it don't get me wrong, the humor was there, the comedy and stuff was there, just a little too vulgar for me. But outside of that, that's been about the only thing we had. Like I said, we had an ice storm, snow storm, whatever you want to call it, big old winter storm come through recently this week. So I've had the chance to play a little bit of games. Grinded out some Apex. I actually started Lost Ark as well, because Mr. Matt G informed me that I hit the nail on the head on our last episode when I said that the next game Amazon comes out with is going to be fantastic because they learn from their mistakes. And sure enough, they learned from their mistakes because this game is absolutely fantastic. I am actually playing it right now as we speak. That's what I got an achievement. Getting those Steam achievements.
What exactly is a Lost World besides the Jurassic Park movie?
Lost Ark.
Same thing.
It's an MMORPG. It's had a really solid storyline so far. It's very like WoW-esque, where you are actually, I compare it more to Diablo. It's more of a top-down, but it has like a Dynasty Warriors feel when you encounter enemies. They're like hordes, and then you can use like combo attacks and stuff like that with your character, and it shows like all the damage pop up on screen and does like it's a lot of fun. It's like a weird RPG Dynasty Warriors kind of mix, and I'm enjoying it. You get fancy mounts and everything. Obviously, gear upgrades just like you would like Diablo and stuff like that. And just a main storyline quest, side quests, all that good stuff. The PvP is really good too. I've watched quite a bit of that. I have a couple of friends that do the PvP on a regular basis. The PvP looks really great. And they're actually bringing like a ranked PvP system to the game. There are more dungeons that you can play afterwards to collect more gear, rare gear. It has a full trading system, so you can actually sell gear for in-game currency and use that in-game currency to like level other characters and stuff like that. So it's they built a whole ecosystem in this game, and it's not a disappointment for sure.
Dope.
But I think that's about it. Yeah, that's pretty much the extent of what I've done in the past couple weeks. I got back from vacation, which I kind of missed already because it's been super cold here. It's been super cold here.
Yeah, it's not cold here, man. It's like high 70s, low 80s. Like winter done come and gone in South Carolina.
Well, this week was weird. So like Monday, it was 71 degrees out, nice, bright and sunny. And then Tuesday, it was cloudy and windy and cold and like 40. And I'm like, okay. And then and then it started snowing and sleeting on Wednesday. I was like, really? I was like, I was just wearing a t-shirt on Monday. Why am I wearing a Carhartt on Wednesday?
Yeah, not here, man. It's been friggin' like you start the day off, like maybe wearing a light hoodie, like a light hooded jacket, a zip up at best. And then like it's 30 degrees warmer by lunchtime. So it's just like, what's the point? I tell my kids every day, it's like, all right, put on short sleeves or maybe long sleeves and some shorts, grab you a jacket for the brisk walk to the vehicle. But by the time we get to school, it's going to be totally manageable.
You're just going to leave the jacket in the car. We'll take care of it later.
Yep. So as for me, what I've been playing, not much of anything. All week has been sports, work, and studying. Played some Dead by Daylight last weekend, with the kids, and I will probably play some tonight. I've got Crossfire X queued up. Like I want to try that game. I hear that it's absolutely awful.
Did you buy the campaign?
So, no, I did not. I want to, but I hear it's only like an hour and a half long.
It's still enough of a shoot. I mean, if you get to shoot for an hour and a half, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. So, which I think is really jacked. Like the game is a Game Pass game, but the single player
you
have to pay for inside the game, and you get a $1 discount through Game Pass.
Hey, $1 better than $0.
Well, the game's gotten like a 4 everywhere, so I'm going to buy it. Matter of fact, I might buy it right now as I'm on the call with you. But like, I'm only going to do it because it's a Remedy game and I want to try it. So, being that I'm so limited on time, an hour right now might work for me. That might be a good.
Get a game out of your backlog.
Yeah, there you go. A nice investment. So, but yeah, outside of that, Dead by Daylight. Now, what I've been planning on doing, and I've been planning on it for a little while, is I think I'm going to get my boys together, and it might even be on this, the next wave of Patreon content, is to do I don't want to call it like a retrospective, but to do like a a Dead by Daylight conversation, and like almost like a breakdown on like how to actually play the game. Because we've been playing this game together for several weeks now, and I only play like I only played like 2 or 3 matches last week. But like it's one of those things to where it's got its claws in me. Like I'm really enjoying it, and I don't know. I didn't enjoy it the first time I played it, and it's one of those things that I think if more people, especially in our community, knew that the game is actually enjoyable and kind of what to expect and how to get into it, because the game doesn't really explain anything to you. And the text language that it uses to explain stuff in the game doesn't make a lot of sense, especially in the beginning. So I'm thinking about like doing like a like an I don't want to say like introspective, but some sort of conversation with my kids and explain how to Dead by Daylight essentially. And I think I might throw that in the Patreon feed soon. Then again, that might be one of the Patreon tiers. One of the things coming up this month. I kind of want to sit down with them and talk about it because it's getting more and more interesting. And it's one of those games that's like has like an interesting balance structure that like you can get really good on the game if you understand how to use the balance structure, the perks, the different types of sacrifices they offer in the game as far as like tangible like little things, like actual, if I use this particular item with this particular killer or survivor, I get a certain perk that will help me during this scenario kind of thing. And you know how like a multiplayer shooter like an Apex or like a Rainbow Six Siege, like each operator has their own class and those classes you work well together, and you need this class with this class and this class with this class, and then you can do X, Y, and Z, or you can you stop people from doing X, Y, and Z.
Right.
That's kind of how Dead by Daylight is, but like on the surface, it just looks like I'm a random person doing a random task, trying not to get killed. And then the more we play, the more I'm seeing that my kids understand the game, even though I've been playing it for several hours and still don't get it. So it's one of those things to where I would love to invite the community in to play with us. But I think a lot of people are turned off by A, the initial jank, and B, the lack of like understanding what it is we're doing. So anyways, it's kind of one of those things I think I'm gonna try to throw together for our Patreon and just kind of see what people think. Maybe people enjoy, maybe they won't. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, outside of that, man, like I'm gonna do some Crossfire X tonight. I did one of my practice tests right before we recorded tonight. I passed my practice test. I've got a big fat thick stack of a couple hundred flashcards that I've been working through. So I think I'm going to take tonight off, do some podcasting, some gaming, and then get right back on it in the morning. So if you made it this far, 33 minutes into the show, this is the Loot Bros podcast. We talk gaming. We tell jokes. We've been doing interviews this year. So we've been bringing on various creators from all different types to bring on the show. Now, I will say that we have stepped a little bit out of the video games and we've done some comic book stuff. We have video game developers coming on next. We do have one more comic book creator coming on, but this guy and his some of the guests he's bringing with him, they are also podcasters, things like that. They're creating something that I think is really cool. We're going to talk with them. We've got a couple game devs lined up, and then we're going to take a little bit of break from the interviews. Okay. We've gotten some feedback. Some people have really dug the interview. Some people really enjoy just the traditional show with the host shooting the breeze and talking junk. And we did a news specific episode. Got a little feedback on that one as well. Some people really dug it. Some people get their news from other places and they prefer us to do the normal Loot Bros thing. So we don't want you guys to think we're just floundering around, but we are trying to stretch our legs and do some fun stuff and change it up a little bit. So with that being said, next week is going to be an interview show. And I will conduct that the same way I've been doing the shows. Essentially, you're going to get all the normal stuff, what we've been playing, leaderboards, and the backlog beatdown in the beginning of the show, and then the end of the show, we'll end it with the interview. And then, like I said, we got 2 more after that one, and then we'll take a little bit of a break. So what you think about all that, Zach?
I am looking forward to it. Yeah, it's kind of nice just to kind of get out of the normal group of things and for us to do something different. Because, it may not get boring for you guys to listen to, but sometimes it does, like us doing the same thing over and over and over again every week kind of gets boring for us. So we got to change it up.
None of that, but like I get I'm a creative type. Like I like to be making things and doing things. And I get like I get in my head about things. I want to do something. So it's like right now, all I want to do is play music. Like, and again, coming off, I'm fresh off of a show. I'm running that high hard. And, we're supposed to be in the studio tomorrow with Ninja Loot. the past 2 studio sessions we've had have been canceled last minute. So, this time it's like, all right, we have not been in the same room together in 4 months. So it's time, you know what I'm saying? Like I got that itch. And so I'm like ready to play, I'm ready to freaking throw down some riffs. I want to feel the freaking the drums and the bass in my chest, you know what I'm saying? I want my ears to ring for a couple hours after we jam and we riff out some stuff. I want to be in the same room with all my bandmates, like I miss that. I love that crap. But I love freaking comic books. So like I'm reading books. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just read 4 books the other day, like throughout the course of my breaks at work for 2 days. And I was like, man, this series is so freaking good. This would make such an amazing video game. The series is called Clear. And I don't know how many books are going to be in the series total, but I really did think about doing a bit of a deep dive / review on those because the concept is so wild. Check this out, Zach. There's a, I want to say like dystopian kind of world, but like, let's say we're in a cyberpunk-esque time frame. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And what is happening is people wear, like essentially contact lenses.
Okay.
And you can run a program called a shade, I believe is what it's called, where you can, or a shader, where it changes your environment to whatever you want it to be. So like, let's say your favorite video game, right? You want to be you want the world around you to look like Apex. So you put on an Apex shader. Let's say it's a Resident Evil, Silent Hill, you know what I'm saying? Something like that. You can put on a shader and then everything around you looks like what you want it to look like. So in the book, some people are like, I want things to look like they did back in the 1950s when things were clean and wholesome, or the Western days, or I want things to look like, what if World War III didn't happen kind of thing. Because I think in this particular time frame, there's like a great war kind of thing that happens.
Gotcha.
And dude, it's freaking wild. And the whole perspective of the book, and when I say book, I mean comic books. The whole perspective of the book is like you're this detective who doesn't use any shaders. He doesn't use. I feel like shader is the wrong terminology for some reason. I think it's called something else, but either way, you get the idea. He doesn't wear anything. He's looking at the world as it's dark and gray and grim and dilapidated as it is in real life. And like, it's such a cool concept because there's a certain point in time where this particular guy, he's a detective. So he's doing kind of like this, he's on this case and he's like a detective for hire. Actually, he's, not
private investigator.
Right. Yeah. He's not like he's employed by the GCPD and he's, hunting down, I'm saying, Two-Face. Like this dude's like, he's a vigilante essentially. But the dude, he gets like injected with this stuff that like makes you see different shaders essentially. And when it does, there's like an action sequence. And then like half the page will be like modern, like normal times, and then the other half will be like in a Western. So like, let's say he's throwing a punch. What he sees is like half of his arm is normal. The other half is like he's wearing like gloves and like a trench coat and he's punching a cowboy. Because like his vision's being changed by these shaders that are like going so rapidly. And then like there'll be like one of the dudes is jumping out of a car towards him and the dude is a werewolf because his vision's changing. And it changes art styles and characters so much in this scene. I was like, oh my gosh, dude, that is such a freaking cool idea for a video game. Like imagine you're playing a game and the art style completely changes. It's like a photorealistic Last of Us style game. And then you go through a scenario to where everything is like crazy cell shaded, but also in a different time frame, like an era. And then something else happens and then you're in like a Western just because that looked really cool as like a contrast to what's going on. And then everything's like a post-apocalyptic wasteland. And then, oh crap, everything's in this alternate steampunk timeline kind of thing. It's just cool. It was such a really cool comic series, and it's written by one of my favorite artists. So one of my favorite writers. So like, that's also a positive. I say all that to say, like, I start reading stuff like this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to talk about it, Like, I want to get on a show, and I want someone to read this and to like have a conversation with me, because like I feel like I just discovered this crazy cool thing that no one knows. And no one knows about it. So I'll tell you that whole long story as just to use an example as to why. It's like, oh, why is this video game podcast bringing on comic book creators? Because that's how my mind works. That's where my head is. I'm reading all this cool stuff over here. I'm like, I want to share this with people. Like, I want to talk to people who are invested in this, who are creating this kind of thing. Oh, wait, what's that? I know a comic book creator is looking for a platform and someone to talk to. Please bring that junk over here. Let's talk. Oh, you've done some video game work too? Oh, convenient. That works perfect. Oh, what's that? You played a video game one time? It works. So like, and that's another thing too. Like, I haven't, so with Loot Bros, I haven't gone crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of things that I'm into that I don't really force onto the show.
Right.
The show is the show. I try to let things be organic as possible, and like the things that we do on the show, they formed organically, and I want to foster that and just let it ride. Like, one of the biggest issues I used to have with the podcast was when we forced it, and it's like, oh, we got to do a news segment. Why do we got to do a news segment? Because everyone does a news segment. We're not a news outlet, though. We're not like YouTubers and streamers. We're nobody. We're just freaking random people who just bought microphones and started talking, and hoping people would listen. So like, I used to have a real issue. It's like, why who cares what we think about the news? Like, let's give the people who do listen an opportunity to write in and ask questions, and shoot, maybe they want to ask us our opinion. But for the most part, why do we think our opinion is valid enough to commentate on the news anyways? Like, who cares what we think? On top of that, like, why do we care what's happening? Like, realistically, I mean, most of the things that people talk about don't even affect them, or don't really even affect the general listener, or definitely don't affect the general gamer, So a lot of these shows kind of tread the same ground, and you're hearing a bunch of people armchair quarterback a subject they don't really know anything about. And I get like really bored with that. You know what I'm saying? So like with Loot Bros, it's kind of like, oh, we talk games. Maybe we'll tell a random story about how we farted at the urinal and it made somebody scoff at us, like, oh, okay, cool. That's all organic and natural. Maybe someone will play a game where they make whoopee to a chair, like, okay, cool. Like, that's that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do, But like, there's so much stuff that I'm into that I don't ever like bring onto the show, because in my mind, personally, it's like, well, that doesn't really matter. I have to, if I want to talk about music, I have to force it, But then there's opportunities where it comes up organically, and then I just want to go all in. Same thing with comics, and even talking with other podcasters. Like, we brought on YouTubers and things like that this year, and it's like those things are relevant to our quote industry, because they're talking about games and they're making content about games. But realistically, it was kind of like, like, let's just talk to some people who create things and we think it's cool. So again, to kind of make full circle, sprinkled out throughout the year, I'm going to be bringing people on that may or may not be completely relevant to the show, but it's just because I want to talk to them. And I hope that works for people. I hope that we have interesting enough conversation to where people are down for that, and they don't just turn off the show because it's like, well, I don't have an interest in this. Because I'm hoping that maybe we'll come around to something that does interest you, or at least makes you aware of something that's cool. So,
and I promise we won't talk about pizza for 30 minutes straight.
Oh no! Oh, you let me have a pizza cast. Let me have a pizza cast. I'll do that.
You and Tricky can do Tricky Talks.
Hey, dude, let's do it. We could. So me and Tricky have been talking about hanging out. We've been trying to schedule vacations and stuff to like get around each other. So
there's too much snow where he's at right now. He ain't gonna stop working.
Yeah, I know, right? So there's frozen pizza up there. So So patrons, we have a Patreon. Check it out. We have all kinds of cool content on there. We have lots of cool stuff coming. Some of the content might not be 3-hour long shows like it used to be, just because I'm trying to finish up school. But once I'm done, then it's game on, baby. Zach, you want to take us over to our
leaderboards?
Leaderboards, yes.
I sure can. All right. So first we got the True Trophies leaderboard. We're going to swap it up this week. In first place, Affectatious Donk with 347 trophies, playing some Grid Legends. We got the Chosen Seagal in second place with 39 trophies, playing Astro's Playroom. And our very own No Show Joe in third place, Mr. TMNT 84, 32 trophies, playing some Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy.
Dang. So I want to give a shout out to CJ and his team, Top Trophy Hunters. They were on the GTTSC competition, just like myself, Gaz, and MZ Nitro. Shout out to those guys. And the competition just ended. I think it ended last week, or maybe it was Monday this week. I got to be honest. I don't really remember. I had so much going on. But they lost. And it blew my mind because I hadn't checked it because we're not in it, but I just knew CJ and Ike Menzie and their team, Kabalov or something like that, whatever the other guy's name is. Those are some of the top. Those are some of the top in the world. Like they're gonna ace this in the hole. And I've even heard CJ essentially explain on the YouTube show that we have. If you go to Elite Bros podcast on YouTube, we have a show that goes on there every so many weeks. It's very infrequent, but it is the top achievement hunters in Australia, and every now and again they're bringing some other guys. But they were on there talking about the G Task, the Xbox version of the competition, and CJ was very much like, you can't beat my team in the trophy division because of the nature of how they play and the people on the team. They were unbeatable. And he had me convinced, there's no way. Even if you could compete with them on a week-to-week basis, the amount of bonuses that they were, unlocking, they could have bonused themselves to oblivion. And then they lost. And they lost pretty substantially. I think they came in fifth place, but I don't have it in front of me, so I'm not 100% sure. But either way, I reached out to him. I was like, dang, dude, that's crazy. I can't believe that. I'm literally shocked. I'm like, how did that happen? He goes, man, they brought it. So shout out to CJ. Good job, man. That was throwing some killer points out there. You guys it was mind blowing to watch. I couldn't even, they were playing big, heavy, legit games, busting out huge platinums, also knocking out all the spam and maintaining their places on the leaderboard. It was pretty freaking impressive, man. And you can't just even if you have all the time in the world, you can't just knock that stuff out. You have to be smart about what you pick. Everything that these guys played spam wise, and I'm saying spam in quotes, cost you points the following week. So for example, a new spam game, Zippy the Circle 11, comes out today, and you get the platinum trophy in it in 3 minutes, and that's however many points, a couple thousand points, 2,000 points, 1,835 points, whatever it actually ends up being at the time you complete it. But then everyone else on the leaderboards plays it, and everyone else in the competition plays it. Then that brings the score down. So next week, you start the week off in a negative because you lose points from trophy decay. So those guys were not only maintaining their place in the actual live leaderboards that were outside of the competition, but then they were also getting enough points to make up for the points they were losing week after week. I hope I explained that well, because seeing it in action, where it's oh, I got 3,000 points this week. And then next week, I started off on a Monday or Tuesday with negative 300. I'm like, how am I going to get those points back? I had to platinum Sims freaking 4 to get 500 points, and now I'm an entire platinumed game in the whole because everybody played the same game I did. So it's pretty interesting. It's pretty cool to watch. I'm going to have Gaz on the show sometime later in March. and we're going to do kind of like a full breakdown on the GTSC, especially now it's over. It might even have MZ on there. I haven't asked him, so we'll see. But I know Gaz and I have been talking about doing like a recap and kind of explaining how the event worked, and then kind of maybe even talking about preparing for next year, because I wouldn't mind putting my exact team back together. And now that we understand how to play the game, maybe go into it a little more prepared this coming year. So, sorry, man. You can continue.
Oh, you're fine. All right. So this week, the True Achievements leaderboard was popping with points. So in first place, we got Mr. Sony Pony TU with 14,900 achievement points. Last game he was playing was Explosive Candy World. In second place, we got Sadek with 5,281 achievement points. Last game he was playing was Reactor X. And then in third place, I'm styling on ya bro with 555 achievement points playing Yakuza Like a Dragon.
There you go. There you go.
And then I knew I had some points. I just had to sync my stuff because I'm terrible and fired. But I got fourth place because it sucked, but I only had 175 achievement points.
Hey, 175 is more than I got.
Yeah, you got 0, and the last thing you played was Crisis.
Which I played that like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. Like I haven't even been taking my Vita to work with me. I've been trying to make sure that when I'm at work, so and this might be helpful to anyone who's listening. I don't know. I found an app that will read PDF documents to you, and it's called Peach. And there's another one called Speechify. But essentially, you can import a PDF document, and it will like it'll robot voice read it to you, but it'll read the documents to you. So what I've been doing is I've imported my notes and study guides and things like that, and I've been listening to them while I'm working, or listening to them on my breaks and stuff while I'm eating and whatever, trying to just like soak in all of the mortgage knowledge I can possibly soak in, And I've been doing that on my breaks instead of playing my Vita or playing my Xbox that's in my office or, whatever. So even when I'm home, I haven't been, I haven't even been AFK, like just, using my controller on fighting games. I've just been strictly like, get over here, get to studying, get to practice tests, get to working. So it's definitely cost me. I don't know how much longer I can do this, Zach. I haven't popped any trophies or achievements in so long.
I'm hurting. Please help.
That's right. I got the itch. So it's funny too. Shout out to Tricky for my birthday today. He texted me about about one of the spam games, getting a PS5 upgrade with a separate trophy list. And I'm like, I can't play that. He's like, come on, man, treat yourself to a spam game for your birthday. I'm like, you son of a bee. You're here trying to trick me. Oh, tricky. So, all right, backlog beatdown. It is refreshing. Here we go. In first place, CJ with 33 points. Second place, Diego, 27 points. Third place, Residentdarrell, 25 points. Then we got Gareth with 24, JT with 22, Redbeard Rick with 19, Joe, No Show Joe with 16. We got Alex and Corey tied with 9. Then we got I'm Styling on You Bro, Noah the Builder, and the Bearded Nerd with 8, Jared and Tricky with 7, Homer and Yield, the Brothers of Destruction, still tied with 6. We got MZ with 5. We got James the Nerd with 4. James McCall with 3. Tied with T-Bird with 3. And then everyone else is rocking in the deuces. We got Jim. We got Game Squat, Kalai, Levi, and Spider Packs. So all my kids have been playing like multiplayer games with no ending. So they're not doing so hot this year.
Fortnite has a PvE mode. They could do that.
Yeah, that's funny. Actually, we just bought that for Paxton so that he and I can play it together. So that's one of those games I always wanted to finish, but
And it wasn't my cup of tea when I played it.
it really wasn't mine either. But it's kind of like, I don't know, for whatever reason I want to give it a shot. I think there's some charm there. I'm just not sure that I get it, that I understand it. You know.
Right.
So we did not have many community questions, and part of that is I appreciate you putting something out there, Zach, but I wasn't exactly sure how this week was going to shape up. You know, so I was like, I don't know. I might be stuck recording something, at home and during like an off time.
Right.
So I wasn't 100% sure, but you did put something out there, and we did get a write in from Matt G. Much appreciated, brother. And Matt writes in and says, "Happy birthday, Darrell. Thank you. I appreciate it. 37 never looked so good. In case you're wondering. What's the best video game birthday present each Loot Bro has ever gotten?" Zach, do you want to start this one off?
Birthday present?
Yes. Video game
birthday present. Yeah. Okay. So best one in terms of video games that I got was when I was, how old was I? I want to say I was like 11 or 12. I got the new SmackDown versus Raw 2010, and that was the first year that they featured ECW in it, and that was like that was the first time I'd ever gotten like a brand new game that had just come out recently. So like my parents were like $60. I'll never spend this on a game ever again.
Heck yeah, that's a good one. So two things popped in my head for video game centric like birthday gifts. Both of them were my wife. Both of them were unexpected, I guess you'd say. So the first one would be this. You remember when before GameStop balled up everybody, and there was a Rhino Games?
Yeah. There was Rhino and EB games.
Yeah, you had Rhino, you had EB, you had Funko Land.
Yep.
So there was some cool stores back then, but Rhino specifically would carry retro games as well. And there used to be a Rhino Games right off of Number One Highway in West Columbia.
Yep.
And my wife and I were out, just kind of out and about. And this is right after the 360 first came out. And we were walking through the Rhino Games, and I saw the Xbox 360 Dead Rising. So I was like, oh man, that looks really cool. It's a Capcom made game. It's got zombies in it. And at the time I wasn't like a huge gamer. Like there was a period from, graduating high school to, ending the time with Ninja Loot that I was like, I played games, and I played pretty regular, but like wasn't some huge gamer that bought everything. I was more so like I'd get a couple games and that's what I played. Like Halo, Gears, Resident Evil 5, Rainbow Six Vegas and Vegas 2. Those were like huge games that me and the guys played like all the time. And I played a bunch of PSP stuff because I'd be on the road. But even when I traveled, I kept a 360 in my suitcase. So like I wasn't like playing everything under the sun. I was just playing a select few things a bunch. And then of course, whatever wrestling game came out that year.
Yep.
But so we go in there, and my wife's like, "Oh man, you want that? It's your birthday, or it might have been like the day after. I don't even remember. It was a birthday present, whatever it ended up being." And I was like, "I don't know. That's $60. Games had just gone up $10. It used to be games for $49 for that particular time." And I was like, "I don't know, $60. That's a lot." And she was like, "I don't care." And so she grabbed it because she saw I was interested in it, and she got me Dead Rising, and I had a blast with that game. And at the time, I had a 27-inch tube TV on a dresser in her apartment. And so when I would come over to visit her and I'd hang out over there, I would put in a game, and while she's studying, I would play wrestling and just talk to her. Or we played through Condemned together. You remember Condemned on Xbox 360?
No, does not ring a bell.
So it was a early, 360 title, but it was a first person horror game. A little bit on the psychological horror side. It was cool. And I don't know that horror is the only genre it would fit, but it was very much like, there's killers. You're kind of hallucinating a little bit, seeing a bunch of dead crows. Like it was a really cool, interesting game. And so, but she was very adamant about like, don't play this game unless I'm watching it with you. Because she basically would just watch it like it was a movie. So I played Condemn over there, SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, and then lots of Gears of War. So it was, getting a different game was pretty cool. So she got me Dead Rising, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But essentially what I would do is I would sit in her apartment while she was studying and working on her nursing stuff, and I would just kill zombies. I didn't actually ever beat that game. I just played it and killed stuff. Like I killed zombies. I would go get random weapons out of the stores. I would get in a vehicle and just drive over zombies or whatever, and had a good time. The other one would be, early Xbox One generation. I had the PlayStation 4, and I really loved it. I had completely gotten out of all the Xbox stuff. I had several Xbox consoles give me the Red Ring of Death, and towards I'd say 2012-ish, I had really gotten into like producing music, like writing tracks. I had a room set up over our garage in the place we had at that time, and that was kind of like my studio area. I recorded a couple country rap artists. I recorded some bands. I would record lots of my own stuff. Matter of fact, that's where I wrote the theme song for the Loot Bros podcast. And as a matter of fact, I wrote it and recorded it and had my drummer do the drums in his studio. All that was done in 2013 instrumentally. I sat on the song for a while before I got vocals put on it. And then even then, I sat on the song for years before we ever put it to any real use. So that's how old this theme song is for this podcast. But I got into, producing music. And so I was really not playing a lot of video games. As a matter of fact, that was the first point in time my Xbox Live had ever lapsed. I had ever just let it turn off. And so I'd gotten out of the Xbox completely. But right about, 2012-ish, I got a PS3 and I got really big into the PlayStation exclusive games that I had missed up to that point. This is kind of the turning point where I really got focused on gaming. And so fast forward up a little bit to the Xbox coming out, because I was so burnt on the Xbox 360s breaking on me and things happening. And I had gotten into the PlayStation ecosystem a year or two prior. I went straight PlayStation for PS4. So, I'm sitting in the house and I don't remember. I don't have a clue how it happened. But for my birthday, my wife brought it. You remember when Assassin's Creed, what was the multiplayer Assassin's Creed that came out really broken?
Unity.
Remember when Unity came out? There was an Xbox One bundle, and the only thing it came with was Unity. Like it was just an Xbox One with the Unity characters on it or whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
it was like the little shadow outline of them or whatever.
Yeah, she bought a bundle off of somebody that was the Xbox One with Assassin's Creed and Call of Duty Ghost. So that is where I played Call of Duty Ghost first. And it was funny because this was at the end of February for my birthday, but that same month, I don't think I'm getting my times mixed up, but I could be, because I remember them being side by side on my desk. But I had just gotten the Order 1886. So I think this is 2015, if I'm not mistaken. I had played the Order 1886. She had picked me up the collector's edition, for Valentine's Day. Is when I already had a pre-order. She just went and paid it off.
She picked you up big schlongs for your Valentine's Day.
She got me werewolf weenies for Valentine's. But so in my memory, those two things happened in the same month. I could be incorrect, but yeah, she picked me up an Xbox One with a couple games, and one of them in Call of Duty Ghost, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, to kind of put a pin in that, I got the launch edition Xbox One, the one that said day one across the Kinect. It had day one across the console, and it had it on the controller.
Yep.
I was one of those. I actually, when we had officially like landed the plane on Ninja Loot, we weren't doing Ninja Loot anymore. This is 2013-ish or whatever. I actually sold a guitar and my amp and everything. And some of the gear was like a trade. I don't remember. I know it was partially cash, 2 Nintendo 3DS X3 3DS XLs, and the day one Xbox One. So, but my day one Xbox One had so many problems, desyncing controllers. It didn't matter. I mean, I went and bought multiple controllers, whatever. I just I couldn't keep them hooked up. You know, they just would just completely lose the, connection to the console. I troubleshot it and all that stuff or whatever. So I ended up getting rid of it. So, tackle that on top of my already previously Red Ring of Death experience. I had taken some time off of Xbox, and she come across a deal, picked it all up for me, and it was a good experience. So I've had Xboxes in the house ever since. All because of Call of Duty Ghost.
Still hasn't realized what the superior console is.
I do. It's called PS5. I have it.
Negative, Ghost Rider.
How's your PS5 working for you?
Which PS5?
Oh, exactly. Oh, yeah. So you're saying you can't actually compare. Oh, okay.
Yep. Oh, crazy.
Yeah. Nah, man. I've had Xboxes, and I'll always have it. I mean, I've got Xbox on in front of me. I mean, I'm not playing it, but it's downloading stuff. So
I'm playing it right now.
Well, I'm going to try and play it, and I'm going to bring you guys my review of Crossfire X. Let's hope it's more than a 4.
we'll see. Hopefully, we're going to be getting to looking at houses here in the next couple of weeks, and then I might treat myself to the new WWE game as well.
There you go. So
Elden Ring looks fantastic, by the way.
Well, that's what I was going to do. I guess for this week's official topic, I was going to ask you kind of what you thought about Elden Ring getting all those freaking 10s, man. Like, did you read some of those reviews?
The game looks fantastic. I haven't read anything, but I've watched a couple of people on Twitch play the game, and the game itself just looks great. They're talking about putting a PvP in that game, like PvP in a Soulsborne game. Like, yes, please. If it's like a For Honor type PvP, that'd be really dope.
Now, are they talking about like the game invasion modes like they've had in the past, or?
I'm not 100% sure. There's been just a little bit of talk about it, so I'm sure we'll hear more here soon, very, very soon.
Well, I thought that was pretty interesting, and I had thought about doing one of our typical like reading Steam reviews and reading the Metacritic reviews or whatever. I was actually planning on doing that for Crossfire X. So originally, when I thought about this particular week's episode, I was like, oh my gosh, Crossfire X just came out and bombed, like straight bombshell. So like the last time we recorded together 2 weeks ago, you were playing the multiplayer.
Yep.
And the single player didn't launch with the game. Well, it did, but you have to pay for it. And we kind of like glossed over that. I don't even know if we actually mentioned it on the show, but I was like, oh my gosh, what a freaking crock of trash. Like, Xbox announced this game and made it out like this is a big thing coming, and then we've seen zero marketing for it, and then all of a sudden it's just here. And not only is it here, but like it's kind of jank online, a lot of bad reviews about how bad it plays. Then there's nothing going on with the campaign, and then you have to pay for it separate, all this stuff. So I started reading more and more about it, and I saw how the reason why Xbox hadn't been talking about this game is because it's supposedly trash and everything in the world is wrong with it. So then some of the reviewers that I followed, they started dogging on this game real bad. And I was like, oh man, I really want to play it now. Like this sounds like it's absolutely awful, and I have to know. Like, I got to play it. And so here I am. I brought my Xbox up here. I'm downloading the game. Well, I've already got the game downloaded. I'm downloading the campaign now because it doesn't download with the game. What a turd. So initially I was thinking, okay, I'll pitch this week's episode as let's read the Metacritic reviews because there's so many of them and they're so bad. Like, I was reading them and I was laughing. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is going to be awesome. But a lot of them were that there's no Russian, like translation of the game. Like, there's no Russian, like localization. Like, apparently that's a huge deal. Like, lots and lots of the Metacritic reviews said the same thing. That there's no Russian VO and stuff like that. But so I was going to make a big joke about it. And, I was going to pitch it as like, okay, we're going to dump on this game. Hopefully by then I'll have time to play it. And then we'll talk about how like there's no Russian VO. But then Russia invades Ukraine. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know that I want to like, make jokes about stuff. And, I was going to do this whole Russian bit. But now it's not funny anymore because those douchebags are invading Ukraine. So I just let it die. And then Elden Ring comes out with the polar opposite. This game's getting dumped on, getting 3s and 4s, and then Elden Ring comes out with freaking 10s almost everywhere. And I'm like, oh, good Lord. So what do you think is going on, man? Like, we got some great games coming out. We got, obviously, Horizon. We got Gran Turismo getting ready to come out. Like, where do you stand with all these games?
Looking forward to this year. Honestly, this year hasn't been bad at all. Like,
no,
this game aside, this year has been pretty fantastic already for game releases. Elden Ring's been fantastic so far, according to everybody. Horizon Forbidden West, everybody's looking forward to. That's Ultric he's been playing since it came out. He's literally, he was playing it at work the other night when he hopped into my stream. He was like, yeah. He's like, yep. He's like, I'm dropping you a host. I'm going back to playing Horizon. I was like, okay, have fun. Thanks for coming by. And then Lost Ark has gotten phenomenal reviews as well. What else have we had come out this year?
So I was just kind of flipping through Metacritic, right?
Right.
And so you had Elden Ring. Elden Ring has a 97 on Metacritic. That's really freaking good, dude. That game Martha is Dead came out 2 days ago. That one that has the censorship issue going on.
Right.
So I didn't watch the video, but I did kind of read up on like what was censored and what's not. And apparently it was more of, well, I read, or there's 3 things that I read that were quote censored out, right? So on PlayStation, they just took the agency out of this mutilation scene. Not saying, again, not justifying censorship in any way, because I've already stated how I feel about that. But instead of just like having the opportunity to interact with cutting someone's face off, they just made it a cut scene instead of an interactable part. Apparently there's another section where you dissect a woman's womb. And instead of making that interactable and giving player agency, it's a cutscene. Again, only on PlayStation. Mm-hmm. And then there's some references to masturbation in a church. And I don't know if they mean like they mention it while standing in a church, or if the person mentions masturbating in a church like properly, like that's like the intent. But apparently that was removed on the PlayStation side.
Okay.
But then again, on the Xbox side, those things still exist, and again, they're almost identical, with the exception of player agency. You can't actually play as those parts. And again, like I said on the show before, those don't appeal to me. I don't know that I would care either way about doing or hearing any of that. But the game, so I mean, on Metacritic, it's got a 70, so which is kind of where I expected it to fall, even without the censorship stuff. Honestly, I think the censorship probably gave this game a boost and put it on people's radar. Because I don't know that there's been any real marketing about it that like suggests that this game is worth checking out anyways. Now, somebody like me who's a first person horror fan or horror fan in general, like well, this one's technically labeled as a psychological thriller, but this lines up with my sensibilities and what I'm interested in. So I was going to check it out anyways. But I'm in these horror groups that like everyone's been on this game since all the censorship stuff came out, right? So now all these guys in the horror groups are like, dude, we got to check this out. Oh man, this game's pretty good. Oh wow, this game leaves you with more questions than the answers. Like it's interesting. So it seems like the game's got a positive buzz. Even though Metacritic wise it's a 70, it seems like this game actually might be pretty cool. So I don't know, but I'm going to check it out eventually. Again, this is going to have to wait until after I'm done with all of my stuff. But you got the Witch Queen that came out this week too.
Right. And then I also forgot Pokemon Legends Arceus came out at the end of January, and everybody's been eating that game up too. And then we also had the Rainbow Six Extraction game that we spoke about before that came out last month as well. And that one's got some mixed reviews, but it's a middle of the ground title. It's got a 71 on Metacritic.
Yeah. So a few months back, I mentioned that I picked up the Blood Rain and Blood Rain 2 PS2, I guess, remasters.
Okay.
Did you ever play those games on PS2, Blood Rain?
Sure
Oh, dude. Third person action slasher games, hack and slash games. Very interesting. I remember loving them on PS2. I've been playing I played them a little bit when they first came out to PS4, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. It plays like booty. I kind of don't, you forgive a lot of how things play back in the day, but now when you play them currently, it's like, oh, this plays like crap. I didn't really love them. But one of the things that was frustrating was they removed the cheat codes. And I did a little bit of reading online at the time because I was like, oh man, I remember there being cool cheat codes or whatever you can put in. Well, the cheat codes got removed from the game. Well, apparently they just put out an update and the cheat codes are back in. And it looks like they're getting PS5 versions as well. So that'd be cool. So I don't know if they're free upgrades, but that'd be cool to have multiple trophy lists for it. Horizon Forbidden West came out. That one came out on the 18th. And again, waiting on that one until I am done. Have you checked out Cyberpunk since they did the next gen release and patched everything?
No, I should have, though. I have the disc version in my office. I started the game and I got 4 hours into it. I didn't have any problems when I started playing it. And for the most part, I was enjoying the storyline in the gameplay.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I haven't touched it. So mine's still in the wrapper.
On my backlog.
Yeah, I don't know that that'll be a this year thing. I keep getting challenged to games, so I've got quite a few games to check out. Sifu came out this month. That was another one that people on all the podcasts have just been raving about how good it is.
It's got an 80 on Metacritic.
It's sitting at 80. That's not bad. I hear it's very difficult though.
Yeah, JT's been playing it, I believe. Or no, I'm sorry, William. Mr. Will's been playing it. I've seen him posting his streams.
Yep. Shout out to him for doing that, man. I told him a long time ago, man, post your streams, dude. Maybe he will jump in. And so he's been pretty consistent.
Oh, I did. I posted mine and MZ hopped in and Tricky hopped in and said, what's up?
There you go.
And even Joe came in and said, what's up?
Got to do it, man. Got to do it. Of course, Dying Light came out this month, but it came out seemingly buggy.
So that's a lot of people saying.
It did, so I've been playing the PS5. I've been playing the PS5 and the PS4 version, like tangentially, right? Because I was sick the other week, and I just sat in my chair and played Dying Light 2 on the PS4 in my room. And I've had a little bit of audio issues, like on my PS4, but that's it. I'm about 5 or 6 hours in on that version. I'm probably 8 hours in on the PS5 version now. I haven't played it all this week, but I played some last week. And I've had no issues at all. But I'm also not playing co-op online yet. So that could be part of it. I'm not sure. I know my brother who's been playing on PC said he's encountered a bunch of bugs. But again, he was playing co-op and said that's where he knows his. So the Uncharted
about it.
The Uncharted Collection came out. That looks pretty good.
It's just all the games.
Yep.
Not super duper excited about that. But yeah, I know you and I talked about it. I did check. Dying Light for the second game coming out is still not on sale. And I can't buy just Dying Light like by itself on the Xbox store. So I'd have to pay like $50 for like the Ultimate Edition, and I ain't about that life right now.
Well, whenever you are about that life, it's totally worth it.
That's fair.
Totally worth it.
But I did have an idea for you.
What's that?
So since we were talking about Metacritic reviews and reading some of the ones on Crossfire X and dogging on it, how about we change it up a little bit? How about each of us go on Metacritic? We pick one game that's supposed to be our favorite game, and we read a couple of the worst reviews on that.
I'm down with that.
And I already know what you're going to pick. Resident Evil 2.
It's the Loot Bros podcast. We're going to talk about video games and mow your grass. Loot Bros podcast. We're going to talk about butts and slurp and penis. Yes, so stay tuned.
This week's official topic. Twat. We're just going to read a couple Metacritic reviews on our favorite games. Which one you want to pick there, Darrell?
So I was scrolling through, and I know you said you thought I would pick Resident Evil, but I am going to pick Max Payne 3. And what I decided to do is I'm just going to pick games that I've like been really into the past couple years. So not necessarily games that are my favorite, but even though this is one of my favorite games, but this one is like this is like a 500 to 1,000 word review this person wrote. But Max Payne 3, excuse me, Saventus gave it a 1. Do not buy. You will be angry. Honestly, I was screaming at my TV like an idiot. So if you are like me who gets easily frustrated, do not buy. I've played all the GTAs, literally all of them. Red Dead Redemption, enjoyed all the Rockstar games, except for some of the gay Tony missions, due to the frustrating helicopter scenes, and that's what this game reminds me of. I played Max Payne 1 and never liked it due to the dark and grim atmosphere and always feeling alone, but I enjoy all the slow motion. This one is way less dark in nature. It's all sunny. It's all sunny as in this one. I don't know why I wrote it that way. That would be a negative for some, but I really don't care. Reason why I bought the game was the high level of reviews in magazines. I'm going to skip through a lot of this stuff because this person goes on to just really do a deep review. Frustrated about not being able to skip the cutscenes. Frustrated about using the crosshair. The frustrated about the difficulty spikes. Max shooting the ceiling for no reasons. Sometimes I would find myself wasting rounds by shooting up at the ceiling. I don't even know if I did that on purpose, but it would be nice if he just wouldn't shoot his weapon unless I told him to. Frustrated with the painkillers. I understand that Max Payne's little trademark, but the health system is so outdated. Some might like it this way, but I personally disagree with it. And then the next part of my review is the spoiler section. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read the beginning of it because it's really funny. That effing level with the APC shooting at you with a machine gun, and all you have to do is grab a rocket launcher is the reason I'm giving this game such a low score. What the freaking heck were they thinking? It took me like 10 tries to figure it out. I dropped my controller and had to wait a day because I was so freaking angry. All that was in caps, by the way. The next day, I tried again, and after dying like 12 times, I saw another rocket launcher on the left side. Could have been fixed by better lighting in the level so players can actually see it, a-hole. Then them bad guys come out. I aim at them with the rocket, and guess what? Max Idiot Payne shoots into the concrete barrier and blows himself up. I was so freaking angry that I had to go punch a pillow in another room for 5 minutes away from my HD TV. Screw this game. Don't buy it. Thank you. when I read that he had to go punch a pillow,
That's yeah,
classic.
Oh man, I've never played Max Payne 3, so
I love that game, dude. That game's so good. That game is like the soundtrack is amazing, gameplay is amazing, story's really good. I love grumpy old Max personally, but I will say this: it's not for everybody. Playing it now, playing it back in 2013, like, oh crap, it was good. And I don't remember if we decided we were reading negative reviews or positive reviews, but
negative. Funny.
I'm reading negative. So you're up.
All right. So my favorite game of all time is Halo 3. So we dived into the Metacritic reviews for this one, and there's some good ones. So the problem is Cortana is not really wearing clothes. I sold my game because of it. It is totally anti-God message. The aliens represent the covenant of God. Your character must kill this covenant. Totally anti-Christian. And he gave it a 0, and that was the end of his review of the game. 110%. That is it. And he did that in 2012. Well after this game has released and come and gone. And then there was
That's amazing.
the one right below it was pretty good. It says, I was in game about to buy London 2012, and the helpful guy at the counter asked if I liked shooting games. I told him yes. I'm a big fan of COD. So he recommended this game to me. I thought I'd buy it as it was in the bargain bin and so within my budget. Anyway, I got home, started playing it, was bored of it in 5 minutes. Same stuff over and over. Very disappointing. Everybody driving around in overpowered vehicles, thinking they were something special. Anyways, to cut it short, this game doesn't live up to the standards set by games such as COD 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Ghost Recon. Just stick to them. You will regret buying this.
Nice.
Yeah. Just these people that just think they know what they're talking about.
So I got another one for a game that I'm quite fond of. Now, this game is universally panned. Low Metacritic score across the board, I guess is a better way to say it. That is Duke Nukem Forever. Now, I quite love the Duke Nukem franchise. I love the humor. I love the just the whole. I love everything about Duke Nukem. Most of the levels kind of suck major butthole, but Duke Nukem Forever was a really enjoyable game. I liked it a lot. So there are no shortage of negative reviews when it comes to Duke Nukem Forever, but this one in particular stood out to me. M4CH1 writes and said, "This game have humor and ... I can't think of anything else. This game is," all caps, "top 1 candidate on biggest disappointment of 2011. All caps. Don't buy this. It's a waste of money. Better get drunk and buy your girlfriend something nice." 15 out of 21 users found that helpful. It's better to get drunk and buy your girlfriend something nice.
I mean, is he really wrong, though?
I mean, it's not a great game, but I liked it. Like, it's not a terrible game. Like, it's definitely not as bad as people make it out to be. But the game was, in development hell for so long. It was so overhyped, and like the beginning of the game's pretty polished. In the middle of the games, things kind of fall apart. There's some really jank levels. But I mean, for the most part, I quite enjoyed it. When I got it, I was like, I mean, I have the collector's edition with the statue and stuff, and I'm like, dude, this is pretty good. So you're up next.
Oh boy. So Doom, the 2016 edition. It starts off, "You're not old school. You're just old." While I loved the original Doom when I was a kid, the 2016 reboot failed to capture the excitement and glee I once felt. I lie. I was excited up to playing the game. Then it all went wrong. Sure, it's slick. The graphics are gorgeous. And skyboxes and lighting is great, but I felt like a moron while playing. It made me feel silly. It worked back then because we were all kids and a bit of naughty violence made us feel cool. But now, it's just embarrassing. People are saying it's the most violent game they've ever played. Is it? It's got a few cool glory kills, but after I'd done about 5. I was over it. The rest is Blood Mist with some Gibbs mixed in. Missions are basically arena-style sections with key cards or basic objectives to find or complete. Worth trying it as this may be your thing, but I seriously recommend watching playthroughs or waiting for a £20/$dollar price drop. 1 out of 14 users found this helpful.
There you go.
Yeah, did you hear him? You're not old school, you're just old, Darrell. Happy birthday.
Thanks. All right, so I would say the next game in my list of games that are important to me, favorites. Everybody knows if you listen to the show for any amount of time, Call of Duty Ghost. And I know, you're rolling your eyes. But there's some people out there that have very important opinions of Call of Duty Ghost. And what they have to say is important. So I think we should share. So the god of FRNDM writes and gives it a 0 on PlayStation 3. Says it's absolute garbage. The game had me wanting to shoot myself. It's been the same gimmick since the first Modern Warfare came out, and it looks like nothing is ever going to change about that. So, 12 out of 19 users found that helpful. The game had me wanting to shoot myself. I hope he didn't do it, but he didn't. He didn't write anything else. He didn't end it with a period. So,
green.
He might have done it.
All right. So we got Super Mario Brothers 3.
Oh snap! That's a deep dive.
Yeah, it's like the game that like got me into gaming in general. That was like the first game that I really played a lot when I was a kid. Apart from nostalgia, can anyone give a good reason as to why this game is why this is a good game in 2017, 2018? I didn't think so. Too hard. Took so long just to get through the first 2 worlds, and that's with the guide. Like, what? This man should not be playing platformers if it took him that long with a guide to get through the first 2 worlds of Super Mario Brothers 3. He had to have been playing with his toes. Oh my dear heavens. Having nostalgic memories doesn't mean this game is good. The controls are clunky. The bosses, besides Wendy, are boring and repetitive. There are some awful level designs, and some of the power-ups are useless. Now, this game has this is the Game Boy Advance version because the original one didn't have a Metacritic score. It has a 94.
Oh wow, that's pretty good. When did they write that review?
Those 3 were in 2006 when they released it for. One of them was from 2018. The other one was from 2003, 2000.
All right. Well, I'm going to change it up a little bit. And this isn't one of my favorite games per se, but it's a game that I quite enjoyed. And I'm looking forward to the sequel. And I've got the second game downloaded, just have never played it. Now, I hear good things about the second one. The first one I enjoyed. That's Shadow Warrior. If you haven't played Shadow Warrior, it's a first-person shooter, slasher. Fast-paced like Quake. Humor like Duke Nukem, but the main character, his name is Lo Wang. He's like an Asian Duke Nukem, and it's a cool game. And I bought it when it first came out on PS4. Quite enjoyed the game, and I just unfortunately I've never gotten around to part 2. I hear the humor's exceptional in part 2. So, Hijinks 1111 gives it a 0. Meh. Lots of meh. Too much meh for $40. I need to add more characters to pad out this review. That's how meh. Meh. 1 out of 27 users found this helpful. I need more characters to pad out this review. That's how meh. Meh. When I first stumbled across that, I was like, oh, Tanner must have wrote this review. They literally told me nothing about the game. Oh my gosh. I love Metacritic. I love going through this stuff. Because People take time out of their day to write this crap.
Oh yeah.
What you got next?
All right. So the first game I played on PlayStation 3 was Saints Row the Third, and I found a review from 2011. James Fish 05 writes, and this man made a list. He didn't write a review. He made a list of why the game was terrible. Dead, lifeless city, static objects everywhere, no story, try-hard humor, terrible gun. Missions are activities, endless spawning enemies from nowhere, gimmicky boss enemies that aren't hard, weapons, sometimes inventive, but normally just shoot the bad guy and they die, with no skill involved or interesting gun. 2-player co-op, no multiplayer like Saints Row 1 or Saints Row 2. Boring as F most of the time. Low textures everywhere, abysmal sound and voice acting. Hardly any clothes. Crazy, out of a Saints Row game, you'd never think. Gang wars dumbed down. Terrible radio choices. Boss is a generic lackey with hardly any options. 15 day one DLCs, 40 weeks of DLC, selling cheats as DLC. And it's such a shame. 2011 was such a great year for gaming, and then this came along. Man literally like bullet point listed everything for us.
Dang.
He just sat down and he was like, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna type out a list, not even a review. I'm gonna tell you every reason I think this game is terrible.
Yep. I didn't really find a good negative review for Stranglehold, but this is a game that just when you said favorites, this always pops in my head. Did you ever play Stranglehold?
I did on the PS2. It was like what John Woo's Stranglehold, right? With the guy on the cover that was like flying through the air, laying back, shooting guns. Yep.
Yeah. I love John Woo movies, and I loved this game. I played this game on Xbox 360, and I beat it on hardboiled, which is crazy hard. I read through several of the reviews, but none of them really I didn't think any of them were really funny. But this one was serviceable. Randy S. gives it a 0. Bottom line, the story is hot, but the gameplay is whack. You should just get a John Woo movie and watch that. Face off on anyone. Don't know what that means. And no one found that helpful. Face off on anyone.
Hey, Darrell.
Yeah.
I'm going to face off on you right now. Let's go.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either. But we're going to do it right now. Let's go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
Facing off. Here we go. So the bottom line is the story is hot, but the gameplay is whack. The story's hot. I'll be honest, I don't remember the story in the game. I don't even know that I ever knew there was a story. The gameplay is why you play Stranglehold. You literally play that game to slow motion dive, shoot people, and you can land on dinner trays and carts, and they will roll while you shoot people, and it'll slow motion shoot them in the nuts. Game is dope for that. All
right, this is my last one before we get out of here. All right, so Resident Evil 7, the only one I finished. Erost L.S. Lavna wrote a bastardized entry to Resident Evil. The canon makes absolutely no sense, thanks to this entry. Wonky controls, enemies have 2 categories, unkillable or Marvel's Venom. Story is trash, and environment is dull and gross, just for the sake of it.
Dang.
That's an interesting comparison. Enemies are unkillable or Marvel's Venom. What are you trying to say? I don't understand.
Or Marvel's Venom.
That's a very interesting take on a Resident Evil game.
Yeah. So this one just came to my head. Again, not a favorite game, but I was just thinking about what I've played through recently.
Achievement.
Did you ever play Wet?
I did not. You just played that too recently, didn't you?
Yeah, I just played it recently. Not a great game, and the PS3 version of the game is not. It just doesn't run that well. most of the reviews are pretty on par with like it being kind of trash. So Anonymous writes in, F the review. Ruby and the wet team get 10s. Yeah, there's some really inexcusable glitchy stuff, but the story and the feel are incredible. 2 out of 3 people found that helpful. And I gotta say, that's kind of right. You know, like if it wasn't for the platforming, this game would be like phenomenal, like in concept. Execution wasn't great, but like that's one of those games that kind of has so much style and so much like Quentin Tarantino like charm. Like, I mean, I'm reading the user reviews and it's crazy. Like, a lot of people feel the same way, you know? Like, it seems like the platforming is obviously the big frustrating part. But yeah, a lot of people seem to really dig the game. So, you said that was the last one that you had?
Yep.
Okay.
I ain't really got anything else crazy that that I can think of. Well, because they didn't really start doing Metacritic reviews until like after like PS, like they didn't start doing them until after like PS1 and stuff. So PS2, original Xbox era. So some of the other ones that I kind of fell in love with would have been great, but didn't really have many.
All right. Well, then I'll save my last one for next time, because I looked up a game that had 648 negative reviews.
Oh my!
So this is one I could probably sit there and pull a dozen really funny ones out of. So, but yeah, that's us, man. That's the Loot Bros podcast. So, geez, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to clear my throat all up in the microphone, but I'm dying over here.
You're dying. You're dying like every week now.
It's a thing. It's post-COVID death. Yeah, dying a slow death. But yeah, man, that's Loot Bros podcast. You're talking about games. You know, we've got a lot of cool stuff coming up. There's going to be a lot of cool games covered on the show here soon. I've got a handful of games I have to knock out for Patreon pledges. Obviously, I'm going to do something for Crossfire X. I've got something in the works for Dead by Daylight with the kids. Once I finish Dying Light 2, you'll get a nice deep dive review on there. Next month we're pushing it again just because everyone's schedule's been so jank, but we are gonna do Dark Pictures Anthology House of Ashes. I'm gonna take it back. I'm not committing to next month because who knows where everyone's gonna be next month, but we definitely still have that one coming up. I'm gonna have the boys on the show, my sons, and we're gonna do a Uncharted review, the Uncharted movie. So,
ooh,
highly recommend seeing that. If you, it's definitely. I'm still thinking that's like my favorite video game movie. So pretty crazy.
Ooh, you want to know what we get to talk about soon?
What's that?
The Batman.
Oh, I know, dude. That's coming out soon.
It's coming out this week.
Yeah, I know.
This Friday.
It's crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna try and go see it next weekend. Outside of studying, that's the only. Let me think. Okay, so I got the Batman and then the podcast. That's the only thing I got planned next week besides studying. So hopefully all that will pan out. I hope it's good, man. I really don't want a crappy Batman movie.
Well, this is the first time like we're like the Riddler's being given the main spotlight.
Yeah, like a real Riddler too, not like a Jim Carrey Riddler.
That was still a good Riddler.
Oof.
All right, we'll get on that at a different time.
Yeah, I just watched that a few weeks ago. Like, I had this conversation at work the other day. It's just like, go back and watch those movies, man. They are a little cringy. But yeah, dude. So, Zach, I appreciate you coming on here, talking games. We got some big stuff coming out. I'm hoping that we can knock out some of these new titles as well, because man, Horizon, Elden Ring, I don't know, man. I'm sure my boys would freaking love, well, at least Noah for sure, love Elden Ring.
Well, if because it's a Soulsborne game, and that's what a lot of people need to understand. And No Show Joe's been complaining about it not being easy.
They're not supposed to be.
No, exactly.
Nope.
And then Tricky tried giving him a win too.
Yeah, it's because Tricky sucks at games, though.
He's trying to convert our people. I don't appreciate this.
Oh, he has been playing real nice lately. You might be right. He might have me fooled.
Yep. Well, he did say allude to the fact that he had multiple accounts. So who's saying he didn't play spam is what he said.
Ah, yeah. So, but yeah, like that whole accessibility conversation, like I think it's really dumb because you're asking the creator to change his creation based on how you think it should be. And that's the same problem I had with censorship. It's like, let these people make their games. Not every game is for everybody. And the bigger the game gets, the more it requires for you to get good if you want to be a part of that. If not, again, and maybe it ain't for you. And that's okay. A 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10 might still not be a Darrell game.
Right.
But a 4 out of 10, that's got Darrell written all over it. So while everybody's out playing their Elden Rings, I'm going to stay up and play Crossfire X because
I'm going to go finish. My wife and I started watching Lord of the Rings extended versions. She's never seen Lord of the Rings before. So
my wife would never.
Oh, dude, 4-hour movies. We're literally about to watch. Oh, and then the third one's like 5 hours. So we're about to watch 3 and some change Snyder cuts.
There you go. Do it. There's no official Metacritic score for Crossfire X on
the story.
And just in general, like there's a user score of a 3.1, but there's like no like aggregated, Metacritic score.
I thought there was.
When I type in Crossfire X, it says
TBD.
TBD still.
But technically it was released last year, so that's weird. Yeah. I don't know. That's weird.
So
we'll write into Metacritic and tell them to fix it.
Yep.
Or maybe we can be the first critic review. We can get our critic license for Metacritic.
There you go. We can just I've often thought about writing in as a user and just like trying to make the most absurd reviews possible so that I'm always, like every game that comes out, I just need to write something that's absolutely just absurd. It has nothing to do with the game and some random situation I find myself in.
All right, buddy. Well, it was fun. Let's land this plane since we always talk about random stuff for 5 minutes after the show anyways.
That's right. So thank you everybody for checking this show out. Thank you for being a part of our Patreon. Thank you for subscribing to our YouTube. So if any of those things you haven't done yet, we highly recommend you check it out. Definitely check out the Patreon. There's extra content coming up for March. Check out the YouTube. Check out the Twitches, the Bearded Nerd, the Residentdarrell, Mr. TMNT84. Zach, thanks for coming on here. Excuse me, talking shop. I'm getting ready to die. And we're out of here. Thanks again to everyone who checked out the Loot Bros podcast. Remember, you can check out all the things that we are a part of on our social medias. All that stuff will be in the bio of the show. Links to the various musical projects that I'm a part of, and I'm going to continue with the RPD Resurrection Pending Death side project music that I've been dropping week after week in the show. This next song is called The Jezebel Complex, and it's a song that I wrote, long time ago. One of the first songs we did in the little Ninja Loot hiatus. So this one is a fun one. Again, continuing on with the rap rock collaboration stuff. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about all the stuff that we've been putting out. We have gotten some feedback. Shout out to you guys who have written in and messaged me about this stuff. I might actually throw this stuff together in like a playlist or something on YouTube, or who knows, I might actually put it on Spotify. If that's something you guys will be interested in, let me know. But definitely got a few more songs to go, and this one is The Jezebel Complex.
Running away from the things in your past may be good for a while, but feel your spirit and heart if you let it real. And this isn't the coffee ballad, and it's all out of love, I'm just keeping it real. This complex we have can bring us all down.